Son of a bitch! Hey everybody, Kyle here with Spicer Designs. Today, I made a purchase. No, not just these David's Jumbo sunflower seeds. It's semi. It's something else. I don't know why I'm acting like this is such a mystery. You can see in the thumbnail exactly what I bought. It is a Harbor Freight 3-in-1, 30-inch capacity, shear, press brake, and slip roll. Anyways, let's get this thing unloaded so we can put it together and test it out. Oh yeah, welcome back to the channel. Whoa, thing's slick. Slicky dicky. Ah, should spin it around. Ah, who gives a shit? No, I'll spin it. This thing is really sliding around for being 128 kilograms or 321 pounds. Wow, heavy son bitch. That's what happens when I have a Red Bull in the morning. Oh, bitch, I spun it around thinking that was the front, and it wasn't. Here's the front. Okay, so here is my Harbor Freight 30-inch slip roll, shear, and brake 3-in-1. Oh, fancy little cover there. Now I just picked this thing up this morning. They had them in stock, obviously. Well, not obviously, I didn't have to order it. And this was advertised at $599. I think I'm getting arthritis. After Indiana sales tax, like 640 bucks. So it wasn't cheap, but for what it does, really not a bad price. Now I specifically bought this because there's a lot of times where I could have used something like this in the shop. I've been him-hawing around about getting some kind of a brake for the shop. So I finally just bit the bullet, made the purchase. You gotta start somewhere. We're gonna try this thing out. But I specifically need it for a project that I'm working on right now because I'm sick of making relief cuts in all my designs just so I can bend stuff and then I have to re-weld that relief cut, grind it all down. It's just way too time consuming and the end result isn't the perfect finish that I would like. Not the kind of finish I'll get with a nice clean brake. Unfortunately, because it's 321 pounds, I'm probably gonna be testing this thing out right here on the floor for right now. So today's video, what we're gonna do is just do somewhat of an overview, see how this thing works, how it operates. A lot of you may be curious about this thing. You've probably seen it before at Harbor Freight, and maybe you're wondering just how capable is this thing? I know I'm wondering, so we're gonna find out today. I believe that the manual says that it can break up to 16 gauge mild steel. I don't like looking at directions, but maximum workpiece thickness 20 gauge mild steel. Camera crooked? There, I think that's straight. 20 gauge mild steel. Well, that's pretty damn thin. At a very bare minimum, I'm usually working with 16 gauge mild steel, but typically 14 gauge. And in this case, the project I'll be working on specifically with this is gonna be 12 gauge mild steel. But it's not the full width. So that's what I kinda wanna see. If I need to bend 12 gauge mild steel, or maybe some 1/8 inch, and it's only 8 or 10 inches wide, can this do it? Let's get it together and test it out. All right, I'm reshooting this part because the audio got jacked up. I want to talk about the basic operation of this whole thing and how to kind of set it up. So starting at the bottom, you've got this base plate right here. This is where you're going to do all your shearing. There's a shear blade right here at the bottom that's removable. It's got 7 Allen bolts that bolt that down, and then same with right here, there's another removable shearing blade right there as well. Not sure where you can get those replacements. I'm guessing that Central Machinery offers them somewhere. I don't know. So this bottom piece right here is actually the shear and the bottom section with the V-groove for the brake. And you can see when I open this thing up, there's that V-groove. This is the bottom of the brake. And that is the piece that cycles up and down. As I rotate this handle, you'll see that bottom brake goes up and down depending on if you're using the shear or the brake. And this upper section right here, this holds all of the dies for the finger brake. You can see all the multiple fingers in here. You've got a 1-inch, a 2-inch, a 3-inch, a 6-inch, 8-inch, and a 10-inch brake or finger. Now there are adjustments right here on the bottom so that you can adjust this in or out so you can get that perfect gap for shearing. And then in the middle section, in case there's any kind of deflect, they have another adjustment in the back that allows you to draw this in or out to get that gap perfect for whatever thickness material that you're shearing. Then up top here, we've got the slip roll, and basically as you turn it, there's a couple of gears right here. They work into each other so they both move and feed material in or out. And then you have your form roller right here on the back side, which is adjusted by these thumb screws down here. There's one right here, and there's one over here on the other side. And along with that, there are 3 grooves in here for smaller round stock if you wanted to put a bit of a bend in that. We'll give that a try as well. And this whole thing is operated, no matter what function you're using, all from this one handle right here, which you can adjust either way depending on what kind of leverage you need. But as you rotate this, you're shearing, you're putting a brake in it, you're turning the slip roll, you're doing everything at once, which seems like a great idea, but I feel like you're losing a little bit of the capability of each function just because they designed this in a way where they all work together. So it's a great all-in-one tool, I guess, but as far as efficiency and actually getting the full ability or whatever out of each function, I don't know. I don't know if I like it. And on the back side, you have this piece of angle and these rods. There is an adjustable thumb screw on the bottom right here so that you can slide that angle in and out. That kind of supports the material, and you can also use that as a gauge if you're making multiple brakes and you want them all the same length. You can use it for that as well. So that's just a basic setup and basic operation. Let's go ahead and actually test this thing out now. Now, if this thing's worth a shit, I'll probably build a nice stand for it, make it more user-friendly, because working on the floor kind of sucks. So here's what I've got. I've got some 16 gauge. This is the thinnest material that I'll use. I typically use 14 gauge because I weld on most of the signs and different fabricating jobs that I do. Again, the max rating on this is 20 gauge mild steel, so we're already well beyond its capabilities, but I want to see just how much it can do. All right, here's the 16 gauge, and where we're gonna put a brake in it is gonna be about 4.5 inches wide. All right, just tightened up. This is where it's gonna get annoying. That's with this freaking handle. Okay. I would say that did pretty damn well, and it looks like damn near a perfect right angle, so I like that. It's got a nice, clean, smooth roll on there, nice tight 90, not a big sweeping, you know, this V groove here in this bottom die is nice and tight, so looks clean. I like it. Okay, hopefully you guys can see in here. The next bend I'm gonna do is gonna be, we'll go quite a bit wider. We'll go 6 inches. Oh yeah. Everyone loves 6 inches. All right, this is 6 inches. A little bit more. It's not. All right. Can I get it out of here? Oh yeah, okay. That is 6 inches. You can see it's wider for sure. And again, nice clean brake, 90 degrees or real close to it. Looks like it might be a little bit open, but that looks pretty damn good. I'm happy with that. Okay, next test. I have these small Z-brackets that I make for my Coyote tractor. I think these would work for the Bobcats as well. They might work for a bunch of tractors, but it's basically an adapter bracket so that you can install LED lights on your cab. So these just kind of bring it down and out a little bit so they get out of that little pocket. It's hard to explain, but anyways, I make these and I sell them. I have a bunch of them, but I have them all laser cut and they're all flat. So every time I sell one, I come out here and I use my vice brake and I bend them and then paint them up and ship them out. So these are 12 gauge and I want to see if I can bend these with the brake. These are 1.25 inch wide, 12 gauge mild steel. Let's see how it does on that. This whole handle is kind of awkward. See, that's the hard part, getting it lined up. Well, that was pretty easy. You can see, nice clean brake. Looks like definitely a 90-degree brake. Very nice and tight. I like it. So that's 12 gauge mild steel, and I did it pretty easy. All right, now I have some 14 gauge. This is what I most commonly use. I'm gonna throw it in there and see if I can bend this. This is 9.5 inches wide. This is gonna be a pretty good test right here. Hopefully you can see that all right. Oh yeah. It's a little bit harder. Oh, I'm gonna blow a testy here. Okay, it's not happening. So, 14 gauge, mild steel, 9.5 inches wide. It's not bending it. It started to try to, and it did not. So, I'm gonna flip it over here and see if we can bend about 3.5 inch wide piece of 14 gauge. I think it'll do it. All right, it bent that. Not easy, but it did bend it. It was not too bad. Nice clean bend, every bit of 90 degrees. Might be a little bit closed. As far as the 16 gauge, we've only went up to 6 inches. I want to see how wide I can go with that, so let's try that right now. So here's another piece of 16 gauge, and this is 16 inches wide. There's no way. I don't see this happening. Oh, yeah. All right, that's not happening. Good to know. It tried. It's got a couple of degrees in that. I'm gonna flip it. Maybe if you had it mounted to the floor where you really put some leverage on it, I'd say that's about all we're gonna get out of the brake. Max 2 inches for 12 gauge, 5 inches for 14 gauge, and I would say max around 8 inches for 16 gauge. I don't have any 18, I don't have any 20, but I'm assuming we'll do a lot better than what we did here. Now, let's try the shear. I don't think the shear is gonna do very good. 16 gauge is probably gonna be the max and ain't gonna be worth the shit, so let's give it a try. All right, again, I got an old cutoff here of some 16 gauge. I'm gonna try to shear it right here, which is roughly about 2.25 inches wide. Okay, that's a negative. Actually, that put a little groove in this bottom plate that it shears against, the other shear blade or whatever the... So that's definitely not recommended. As far as shearing goes, go by the manufacturer's recommendations, 20 gauge mild steel. Okay, now last test, the slip roll. Now on the slip roll, there are 3 round grooves so that you can bend round stock. And I do work with 1/4 inch round stock quite often. So first thing I want to do is see if I can put a nice curve in this round stock. Of course it's not centered. Well, that's not good. There we go. Jeez. All right, we'll tighten down on those thumb screws. Get our gap the same. Not getting a whole lot of bend out of that. How much do I have to freaking tighten this thing? What the f is this thing doing? It's like shifting. It's shifting the rollers around. We're getting a little bend out of it now, finally. Not very consistent though. Well, that looks like doo-doo. It's got like a bend here straight and a bend here. I mean, that ain't gonna cut it. I think I might just need to figure this out. There seems to be kind of a lot of slop in here. It doesn't quite align the greatest either. All right, let's see if we can, I need something good to roll here. I don't even want to use this damn thing because it sucks. I'm just gonna go for it. Come on, bitch. Just trying. It's rolling that pretty nice, actually. That's 16 gauge mild steel, and it's about 3 inches wide where there's actually still some meat left, but it actually did roll that pretty nice and consistent. So I would say that the slip roller is not a complete bust. No luck on the round stock though. I don't know. Okay, well that's pretty much gonna wrap up this one. I know this is kind of a boring video, but I really believe that there's quite a few people that are interested in what this little slip roller slash shear slash brake is actually capable of. Like most equipment, they give you a standard rating, you know, the safe zone. I kind of assumed that it could do a little bit more. They kind of nailed it with the 20 gauge mild steel. They might even be pushing it with 20 gauge mild steel when you're looking at the full 30-inch width. Obviously the narrower pieces, it did bend thicker gauge material, so that is still useful for me to have. But I think for 640 bucks, I don't know. I would say if I knew what I knew now, I may not have purchased it. Because what I needed to do on that project right there, I'm also gonna reveal what's behind this curtain over here, which everyone's been curious about. This isn't gonna work for what I wanted to do on that project. So now I'm kind of back to square one again. Bullshit! So hopefully this video was helpful for you. Maybe it answered some questions. And if you have any other questions or anything else that you would like to see me do on this little Harbor Freight 3-in-1 deal, let me know in the comments because I will gladly give it a rip. So if you like this one, please hit that like button. That's all I ask. Consider subscribing. I think you're gonna wanna see this project that I'm gonna be working on next week. Anyways, thanks for watching and we'll see you in the next one. It's a hell of a bench though. I think I might put this up by the house. Piece of crap. Oh. I don't know why God bless it, those are loud. I have to have freaking emissions on my little 3.0 Turd Max. These semis sound like freaking freight trains going down the road. Machine. It is a machine, and it's made by Central Machine, which is made in China. Central Machinery. Might have to retract my machine because it's actually machinery. Okay. Thought that would look cool.